Hello. So I haven't made a video in a long time. This is a surprising subject. It's not something I would typically talk about. In the spirit of radical authenticity, which is a path I've been on for some time now, I want to just give voice to what I've been experiencing today. This is a bit of a taboo subject for some reason. I'm just gonna come out of the closet on some level and just claim this right now. I am a menstruating female. Recurrently, I experience the beginnings and ends of a cycle. I guess on some level I really want to express what it's like for me. A little more than half of the population of this planet is female, and so that means that there are a lot of us out there experiencing things like this. A lot of us don't give voice to it. This is not a secret, everybody knows about it. So I guess what I want to unpack with the subject is just the whole experience of it, what it's like for me, particularly on the day, where everything is punctuated, the period, when everything feels very pronounced. It truly does feel like a punctuation. It's like, hey, something's ending and something new is beginning. That is happening, and that is happening physiologically, that is happening spiritually, and there's a lot going on. Today, I was scheduled to be at work, and I was at work. I was at work for some time, and then it hit me. I literally don't get very much warning. What happens is I end up feeling some cramps in my lower abdomen. It's funny because I always convince myself that it's not going to get to a point where it's unbearable, and I really try to just be with myself in this stage of things. Actually, I should probably say, like, for the last 5 days, my boobs have been very sore, and so that means it hurts to lay on my stomach, it hurts to hug people, but it's not really something that I tell people about. It's just kind of where I'm at, and I feel really sensitive, and I feel really sensitive physically. Sometimes my emotions can feel a little bit, watery. I feel like, yeah, I could cry easier and things like that. So there's like a hormonal shift going on in this as well. So yeah, I've just gone through that. I'm not really experiencing that pain so much anymore here, but today I was noticing the beginning of the cramp pattern. There's some thoughts that I want to share about that. First of all, what cramps are literally the uterus contracting, and it's basically the body practicing for childbirth. And it comes on so intensely, and it's been like this my whole life. I'm going to explain what it feels like first, and then I'm going to go into my philosophy behind it. It feels like first just subtle lower abdominal cramps. There's something alerting your attention. You're like, oh, there's something going on down here. For me, it intensifies. The contractions kind of get closer together, the cramps, and they get more intense. And what can I do to ease this for myself? The pain is radiating very intensely from my lower abdomen all the way through my hip, down my leg, and that is connected also to a pretty intense burning pain in my lower back, along with nausea that seems to be coming in waves with the cycles of cramps. It's a real strong call out from my body asking for me to care for it. What can I do? What can I do in the context of this, of being at work? I'm at work right now, and this is starting to happen. And I was a functional human a few hours ago. Now I'm in fetal position. Now I can't seem to do anything except hold myself in a ball to allow the waves of the pain to pass through me. And in that, there's also, a lot of clearing of energy going on. There's a lot of old programming that shows up in these spaces. And when in the context of like work, for example, I'm experiencing this, I notice that comes up more there because I have to call my employer, let my employer know that I have to go home. That I often end up feeling a bit of shame around for some reason. It's like, oh, I can't deal with this, so I have to leave. It's not something I can ride out. It's something I need to go home and deal with. And that's hard to articulate to somebody who doesn't know what it's like. And so that's difficult. for me, and also in the past it's been difficult for me to even express. And I remember when I was younger, I used to lie about why I had to go home. Migraines were an acceptable reason to go home, but yet menstrual cramps were a shameful reason to go home, which is so strange because it happens monthly and it happens differently for all of us, and sometimes it's very intense and it's very real. It feels like a sickness. It feels like you're getting the flu. You have to take care of yourself at this point. The cramps started coming on, and with that, I was at work and I started to feel a bit overwhelmed by the sensation of it all, the intensity of it all, and with that emotion, feeling a little out of control, like I can't really do anything. I can't really do what I want to do. What I want to do is lay in fetal position with a heating pad or have a shower and like let the water just beat down on my stomach and my lower back until I feel a little bit better. But I'm feeling a little bit trapped. I'm trapped by my circumstances. I don't have Advil on me. I'm not super prepared. And I don't want to take Advil. Like, I have a bit of resistance about that, but Advil is kind of like my worst case scenario if it gets to that point. I guess I also have some shame around that because I wish that I could move through this without that. I wish that I could literally ride the wave of it without, but it's and every cycle I try, if I happen to be at home, I mean, there have been a few times where I've made it through, and I felt really accomplished by that. And how I did that was I used a heating pad and also a hot water bottle. I had myself in bed, really cozy, gave myself lots of space to like experience what I had to experience. Had some tea, had a nice hot shower. That was really helpful. So I smoked a joint. So really high CBD. And that was that seemed to be the medicine for me. And in addition to that, I also had, a loving partner with me, showing up and offering me all these things and making it really easy. And I felt really cared for, and I felt really held and supported through that. And so I didn't have any shame there, which was really good. And so there's some part of me that feels there's a correlation between the shame and the pain. I feel like as women, we are clearing the pains of our ancestors, the pains of the women in the past, and everything that we've gone through in all of the cycles that we've had collectively. I feel like we're clearing for our whole species, letting go of the old. The physicality of what's happening is we're shedding lining of the uterus. That was all built up over the course of the last month to create a really beautiful and incubated environment for like life to take place inside of. And because there was no fertilization that took place, then we have to just release that old anticipated story, and then step into a new expression of what that might look like. There's a lot of clearing, literally clearing, and then emotionally there's a lot of clearing that comes out. There's, for me, at least I can speak for myself, there's a lot of emotion that comes through that sometimes I don't understand what the emotion is. I'm sometimes just crying, and I don't know why I'm crying, like crying the tears of the world and allowing it to pass through. It literally feels like I'm doing a service on some level when I give it the space to fully express itself. I think about pain as energy. I think about it as almost like an entity that needs to pass through me, and my relationship to how I allow myself to be with pain determines, I guess, the nature of what that looks like and how it expresses itself through me. So creating an adequate container for this to pass through is really, really integral, and allowing myself to really clear that, because if I'm clearing, but I'm having resistance while clearing, shame, irritation, frustration, like, in addition to like whatever, like just not wanting to feel the pain, that's a really big one. So if I have all that going on, then, I mean, the cycle's going to repeat itself, but I have to repattern this. This is something that's showing up recurrently in my life. The intensity of this pain is showing up, and I feel truly that I can control this. I feel like I can rewire this, rewrite that circuit, and I truly feel that in allowing myself to be with it as presently as I can, with as much of a loving energy as I can, a maternal energy, if you will. I can really allow it to be here. I can really allow it to pass through me. That's where I feel like a lot of actual healing is taking place. So there's all of that going on. You can't speak for everyone, but this is what it's been like for me. And I'm finding that applying these values and digging into it and seeing like what's there for me spiritually, as a spiritual being, emotionally, physically, what it's like for me to be with myself. I mean, I'm developing a more valuable connection and relationship with myself through these experiences, and learning how to care for myself and really create a good space for that. As a message to men who maybe don't understand this, I get it. How can you ever really understand here what's going on? But I really hope that you can see that every time you see a woman, or you're with a woman who's feeling this, who's going through something like this, I want to say a few things. First of all, look at her and think about all of the cycles your mother had to go through before she had you. Just all the ways, every month, all the times that she's had to endure some kind of pain just so that you could eventually be here. Honor that, in the ways that you choose to be with a woman who's experiencing something like this, because it's hard. When you can show up to be of service to her in that way, it's also doing some healing on a subconscious level. The archetype of the mother, like you are loving that part of humanity in the ways that you're being with this woman. It's such an honor to be with a man who can show up in those ways, and it deepens the relationship and the bond. And even if you're not in a relationship with her, even if you're a roommate, it'll feel really good. You'll feel like you showed up and you did a good thing, and it doesn't really take much. Yeah, that's all I had to say for now. Yeah, hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Okay, thank you for listening. Bye bye.